Hi, and welcome to the Bare Basics lesson, which outlines the difference between relations and functions. It's a fairly language-intensive unit, so let's start with some definitions. Key phrases and language that you need to know to be successful at this unit. Let's quickly revise what a relation actually is. A relation is a set of ordered pairs of values or variables. Each one is found by the same equation, which shows the relationship or defines the relationship between the x and the y variable. So here we've got the relation xy is defined by y equals x squared, which is a parabola, where x is an element of all real numbers. So it looks like this. X could be any value from negative infinity right through to infinity, and it's a quadratic graph. There are many types of relations. Well, in fact, there's 4. The first is one-to-one relations. It exists if for any x value there's only one corresponding y value and vice versa. So an example of what this might look like in coordinates is 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and 4, 4, which looks like this. We have one-to-many relations. It exists if for any x value there are multiple corresponding y values. So once again, here's what some coordinates might look like. And you can see that for the x value of 1, we have multiple y values, being 1 and 2. Here's an example of what that relation might graph as. We have many-to-one relations. They exist if more than one x value for any y value, but for any x value there is only one y value. Yeah, I know, it's getting really confusing, but I'm going to tell you a way to remember this very shortly. Once again, here's an example of what it might look like with coordinates, where we have 3 different x values, -1, 0, and 1. They're all different. But we've got 2 y values that are the same, being 1, and that's okay. This is an example of what that might look like. So in a quadratic, these are not the points for this quadratic, but we'll have x values that we might have -1 and 1 that will both have 1 as their y value. So that's fine. The final type is many-to-many relations. They exist if there's more than one x value for any y value and vice versa. For example, 0, -1, 0, 1, 1, 0, -1, 0. So there are more than one y value for the x value of 0, and there's more than one x value for the y value of 0. And here's the classic example of what a many-to-many relation will look like. Now, before you go, oh my God, I'm never going to remember that, there's an easy way that I can show you how to tell what those relations look like and how to tell what the relation actually is. We scan in each direction. So you're doing a little dance. You're going to scan down first and then you're going to go across. So down and across. And as we go through some examples, I'll show you what they are. So as we scan down, going down the y value, and then we go across the number of x values we see, and then we go across, so the number of y values we see, that will tell you whether it's a one-to-one, many-to-one, many-to-many, or a one-to-many relation. Okay, so I want you to name this relation. Have a go first. And here's the second one. Now let's go back to the first one again. As you scan down, imagine that you're drawing a line across, and at any time the line is only being crossed by 1 point, so it's going to be a 1. Then as you go this way, you'll have the line being crossed at a point both above and below the x-axis. So it's going to be a one-to-many. As you go with our second one, as you scan down and then across, the line is only ever being cut at once at any one time. So it's a one-to-one relation. Let's try it again. Think about this one for a moment. And now think about this one. Let's go back to the one on your left. As we scan down, the line is crossed many times by points at various x values, but as we scan across, there's only one line at any time, 1 point at any time. So it's a many to one. With the one on the right, as we scan down, it's being cut many times, 2, sometimes 3 times. But as we scan across, it only ever gets cut at 1 point. So it as well is a many to one. Functions are a special type of relation. Relations which are one-to-one or many-to-one are called functions. That is, there's only one y value for any x value. The vertical line test can be used to determine if a relation is a function. So it's the second part of our test for what the function actually is. What the relation actually is. This test can be done by drawing a vertical line along the relation. If the line is crossed more than once at any time, the relation is not a function. This is what it looks like. So you can see with the drawing on the left, as we scan across, the line is only crossed once at any point in time. With the second one on the right, the hyperbola, you can see as that line goes across, it's being crossed in the first and the fourth quadrant. So there are 2 points on the line at any time, so it's not a function. This is a fundamental test, and it's really important that you can actually remember and do this. Functions have their own notation. For example, the equation y equals 2x. This is a function because it's a linear equation. There is only one y value for any x value. So we can say that y is a function of x, which we abbreviate to y equals f of x. So instead of writing y equals 2x, we can write this as f of x is equal to 2x. Now you treat it exactly the way you do with the equations that you were working on in junior school. We then substitute in the values. So if we had to find our value when x equals 1, we say the f of 1 is equal to 2 times 1 instead of 2 times x, which is 2. Let's try some practice questions. Take, for example, the first one. If f of x is equal to 3x plus 1, if we were to find f of 0, what we do is simply substitute in 0 instead of x. So f of 0 will be 3 times 0 plus 1, which is 0 plus 1, which is 1. It's really simple to do. It's just a different language to get your head around. So now you try the next examples. If there are any questions, just ask me in class or send me an email. We'll be doing lots of practice on them. This has been your bare basics lesson of relations and functions. And remember, the aim is to make maths more bearable.